Hey guys, I've been really excited to bring you this video. This is my first Kichler ceiling fan. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Kichler? Could be Kichler, I suppose. Everybody I've always talked to at lighting showrooms and things have said Kichler, but I still can't say Quizell properly, so who knows? Anyhow, this is the first fan that I saw from them that really got me curious. It is designed to compete with the Hunter original. So I managed to get my hands on one, and let's talk about that. I'll say first and foremost, it's a little bit of an unfair comparison because I personally have never tested the made overseas Hunter originals. I have hung and tested dozens, probably hundreds of the various ones from prior to 2002 all the way back to 20s or 30s or whenever the earliest ones came out. You've seen my videos of some of the older ones, and I've hung many of them in other places over the years, and but I've only actually put my hands on one newer one, and it needs some work that I haven't done yet. So maybe this will be an incentive for me to get that done. It's packed away at my other shop and has a neutral wire that's broken off inside the motor, and I can't figure out how to get to it because the stator is pressed into the housing, so I think it would have to be pressed out. That's a tangent, but yeah, so it's not quite a fair comparison because I'm going to compare it to the originals that I know, which are the ones from when the motors were wound in America. However, in some ways that's a better comparison because almost anybody that knows what the Hunter original is and is in the market for buying ceiling fans, that's what they're comparing it to as well. I don't know anybody that buys the current original made overseas and says this is what I want. I know a lot of people that buy it and say this is the closest thing I can get to what I want, but what they still want is the previous version. And there are a lot of people that aren't fan people. They just want good quality fans for their home or business, and that's what they're looking for. This model is called the Fryst, or possibly the Fryst. We're going to assume it's Kichler and Fryst for now, and not Kichler and Fryst. Kichler sounds kind of evil, doesn't it? Probably has a model number. I haven't looked at that sort of thing. In a previous video, I showed the box and the manual. It uses a spinner motor, and I don't know the dimensions. That's probably available online, and I'll look it up at a later time. But it does not take oil. It's designed to compete with the original and simply in appearance and in being a quality fan, but not directly. And there are some advantages to that, because when I'm speccing commercial jobs, I rarely spec originals because they're supposed to be oiled on a regular basis, and if the fans are up on a 15-foot restaurant ceiling or whatever, the likelihood is they're never going to be oiled again in their lifetime. That having been said, the advantage of the oil bath system is that you're much less likely to ever need to replace the bearings on them, and if you ever come to a point where the bearings do have problems, it can usually be rectified by just cleaning and oiling. For example, any good quality fan that uses a spinner motor or a K55 type motor, after a decade or two of use, eventually you're going to start to get bearing noise, and eventually the bearings are going to start to get stuck and dirty, and with the Hunter original that never happens. The worst thing that happens is they get dry and you add more oil, whereas with a K55 you actually have to pull the bearings and replace them. So there's advantages to both. There are advantages to still selling an oil bath ceiling fan. It really just depends on how long you think it'll be up there for. I've got a Fanimation Palisades over there. It's less than 10 years old, and the bearings are starting to get noisy on it. Notes are K55 motors. So, there's advantages and disadvantages to both. Talk about the appearance of this. I love the blades. If there's anything that really won me over about it, I think these are beautiful blades. I think that wood finish is beautiful. The wingtips are beautiful. The wood on top is the same. It's just slightly darker. This is supposed to be cherry and that's supposed to be walnut. This looks kind of similar to the old Hunter Pecan, which is why I had that side facing down for the video. I don't know if there's a good way to show the top of it. Let's try. Let's see if we can show the finish on top. I'll turn this light on and we'll see. You can get a look at... No, that didn't really help, did it? There, maybe? Yeah, this location is not optimized for showing the tops of fans, so we don't worry about that. I mean, I'm sure you can find a picture online. It's a nice looking dark walnut, but to me, really, this, what they're calling cherry, is beautiful. I'm cool with the bottom plate. I think it's a nice variation on the original. It's, you know, not too much of a copy, but kind of reminiscent. And I love the switch housing. I think that's a really cool design. Design-wise, where they lost me is the blade arms. They're too long in proportion, and that kind of throws the look of it off. And the look is important if you're trying to compete with an original, because what you're going to have is you're going to have somebody that has a bunch of originals in their home and somebody that has a bunch of originals in their place of business, and they either are remodeling, or they're adding more fans, or they're replacing fans that have been damaged. And if you can pitch to them that, hey, I've got this fan that is similar at a lower price point, or doesn't require oil, or whatever your pitch is, you want them to be happy with the appearance in terms of coordinating with their other fans. So I would be fine with the switch housing being different. I like the different switch housing. I'd be fine with the faceplate being different. Like I said, the blade bracket is too long to me. That proportion needs to be changed if you're gonna really try to get a fan that looks similar or indistinguishable to the untrained eye from originals. I'll tell you, the biggest place they lost me is that it appears to be 5-blade only. And to my knowledge, Hunter Originals are still sold as 4 or 5-blade, which means, again, if you're doing an installation where you've got a bunch of other ones already and you want them to match, you may be matching 4 blades. And so it wouldn't be much for them to drill it out to take 4 or 5 blades. And I think that would be a huge improvement. So that's appearance-wise, and we're kind of getting into function with the 4 or 5 blade thing. I'll tell you the first thing that I saw about this that I loved, it has an isolation ring. That, you don't see that too much anymore. I think that's great. I can't actually tell what it's made of, but that's a huge advantage. So they won me over there a little bit. There are also some things that are unique in terms of the way that it is installed that I liked. And again, I don't know if other manufacturers are doing this or not, but I haven't seen it before. The screws for the blade brackets that attach them to the motor are already attached to the blade brackets, which is very useful because those are easy to drop. Uses 3/4 inch threaded down rod, which is nice. Obviously that's not unique, but that is an advantage, especially if you're competing with originals. The down rod ball is threaded and screws onto the down rod, but then there's also a screw that goes through it. And it's hard to describe, but the screw is obviously threaded, and then the down rod ball is threaded on the other end, and I think that's quite a convenient way of mounting that. I like that. I don't know if you necessarily have to take the down rod ball off to install it. I did, in part because I've got it hanging there on the J-hook, and that was the easier way to do that. But I liked how that mounted. I thought that was useful. It doesn't say anything in the manual about it being able to be close mounted, but there are the screws on the top of the housing, the screw holes rather. And let's see, is there anything on the bottom of the canopy? This little thing comes off. No, there isn't. I don't see why it couldn't easily be close mounted, and that would be a huge selling point over the original. Let me try to put this back with one hand while holding the camera. Yeah, wait, nope, I thought I did it. I was about to brag about myself, and then, there we go. I'm the greatest. Try to get this more centered so it hangs level. This is my, no, I failed. Come on there. There we go, I think I got it. So, what was I at? Yeah, I don't see any reason why it couldn't be close mounted. You have the screws for it to be close mounted there. It doesn't appear there in the canopy. So including that function would again be a huge advantage over the original, which you can close mount an original kind of, but it's not something that Hunter mentions. You just basically have to get a short pipe nipple and you use that in place of the down rod. With the two-piece canopy, you can essentially get it very close to the ceiling. But again, that's not something that they pitch. So being able to pitch it as a close mount fan would be a good selling point, I think. Okay, that's everything I can think of before we turn it on. So let's check it out. High, medium, low. Let's go over here to the amp meter. 0.25 on low, that's pretty standard. And there's a little bit of a fast low speed for me. I do understand that not everybody likes low speeds as slow as I do. I'm going to try to get it to hang a little more level. Again, that's my mounting. That's not a defect in the fan. That's just the way I have it hanging for testing purposes. I don't know. It's not bad. I might like a hair slower than that. I'm trying to think of the low speed on an original would be a hair slower than that. But again, you're talking about a 3-speed permanent split capacitor original made in the US. The shaded pole ones only had 2 speeds, and that low was rather fast. And I can't tell you what the low speed is on the current ones. Because again, I have tried my best to stay away from them. Now I'm regretting that so that I could make a fair comparison. Yeah, I would go a hair slower on low, but that's my own personal preference, I think. Again, I don't think anybody else... Well, I guess that is a selling point, too, although not something that anybody would think to ask in the showroom. But if you've got a restaurant where you've got a bunch of them hanging, they're all set to the same speed, you want them to appear to be going about the same speed. It's really bothering me that I had it hanging straight and now it's not. And again, that's just because of the way that I have it hanging. Silent, absolutely silent. That's a medium speed that I like, right there. Okay, now for the real test. Low, off, high. .56. So that's very close to what a spinner motor Hunter draws on high. So my guess will be the performance will be very similar, but let's see. That's kind of what it seems like directly underneath it. It's certainly more air movement than a cheap fan, but less than an actual made in the US original, at least as I'm going from directly underneath it. So for those who aren't familiar with my videos, my kind of poor man's airflow test, I have this set up here where I can go back here about 15 feet back from the fan. This started with commercial fans. It's surprisingly good at air movement back here. Again, we're not talking about as much air movement as a K55 motor Casablanca or a permanent split capacitor motor original, but it is more air movement than, say, a spinner motor Hunter. I was testing fans earlier today, and I was testing, there was a Homestead Universal and a Lady Delta, and both of those were kind of in between. Definitely in that range. Again, we have no, precise way to measure airflow here, but I found that going the 15 feet back is proven to be pretty good comparison between fans, and again, it outperforms the Hunter Studio Series and the Hunter Summer Breeze and those that I've tested back here. Outperforms some cheap industrial fans, and again, we're talking about 15 feet away. So I'm actually pretty impressed with it at this distance. Again, it does not match a US PSC original, medium, low, off, reverse, but it does exceed a lot of fans that might also be competing fans, you know? I'm told that the performance of the imported originals is similar to the performance of the US-made ones. The difference is in that the longevity, if you don't oil them, or if they become dry for some other reason, that the overseas-made ones do not last under those circumstances, and the US-made ones, as we know, do. So this is probably still a little less performance-wise than one of those, but it's solidly good performance-wise. I would probably recommend, you know, if somebody were to be looking for a home center fan or something like that, I would definitely recommend this over that. Kind of depends on the price point. If you could get a K55 motor fan for the same price, then I wouldn't recommend this, but let's go reverse now. Again, that's my mounting for the sake of the video there that does that, not anything with the fan. So reverse, 0.25. Yeah, I would like it a lot better in 4-blade, I tell you that right now. Even with the blade arms proportions that I'm not wild about, I think in 4-blade it would, even that would be more suitable, I guess is the word that I'll use. So yeah, I could see speccing these for a restaurant or something like that. Again, it depends on the price point. And when I looked them up online, they were, I want to say they were like $250 to $300. If I'm guessing, I know there were some that were around $300. I don't know what originals are going for now, but that used to be the price point for originals. If originals are more now, then I think that this is fair. If that's still a price point for originals, I'd like, you know, I wish this were less. Let's reverse. Okay. I'll try my trick again. I've been almost nailing it today. Okay, that was the closest I've ever come. I'm going to try to straighten this out for a second, so forgive me. There we go, I'm closer. Is that still locked into place? Yeah, it looks to be. I'm going to get on the ladder and just make sure I'm not pulling it off the hook. I do this because I don't want to have an outlet box up here, because I mostly test commercial fans up here. And commercial fans... Oh yeah, we're solid. Commercial fans require the J-hook. Plus, it kind of makes an even playing field in terms of vibration isolation. So, okay, so let's go over here to the fun stuffs. Okay, 1 microfarad. 2. Almost done, moved on 2. 3. Oh yeah. It's kind of hard to see. I'm going to see if turning those other lights off. It's a problem with a dark fan. Let's see if this is an improvement. Yep, it is. It's interesting because for some fans it's better to have them on. Okay, that's kind of fast for me for the... I'm going to go back down to 2. I'm going to stop it with my hand. Nope, 2's still not doing it. 3 is. This is a time when I wish I had a half. Go 2.5. 3 is 0.13. 4.18. I wonder if Kichler offers a wall control and what the capacitor values are. If anyone from Kichler is watching, I don't need you to send me a wall control or, you know, just send me the specs. You know, just what the capacitor values are. That's my question, because I'm always trying to find wall controls that are most suited to the range of speeds that I and others prefer, which can vary from fan to fan, hence the decade capacitor test. So we're at 4.18. This would be low with an Emerson control. 5.23. Wonder if I'm flattering myself thinking that someone from Kichler is not only watching my video, but watching it through to the point where we're 21 minutes in. 0.23. This is low with a Casablanca control. 6.27. 7.3. 8.34. 9.36. 10.39. Well, it's going up very slowly at this point. 11.38. 15.45. Okay, I haven't actually tested the fan sitting in the chair before. It actually gives a very good breeze over here. It's one of those fans where the breeze isn't as strong directly under it as it is from a distance. I wonder why that is, possibly the narrower blades. 20.5. 30.54. 40.55, and high is 0.56. Okay. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, it comes with a safety cable. And that threw me off because I've never had a residential fan come with a safety cable before. I don't know if that's a new thing that has recently happened. And a lot of residential fans are coming with them, and I just haven't encountered it yet, or if it's unique to this. Yeah, I have not encountered that yet. I understand the purpose for them in commercial fans, and I guess if you're going to be pitching these commercially, then that's something you could pitch. But yeah, you know, funny story. I've told the story before of the 10 gold lines that I removed out of a supermarket that was being torn down when I was in the 10th grade, and that they had water in them and blah, blah, blah. One thing I don't think I've ever told about that story is each one had safety cables added, and they drilled through the canopies to add them. Why you'd need to drill through the canopy to do it escapes me. Okay, the last test, the solid state speed control. So we're at 0.03, 0.04, 0.05, 0.06, 0.07. I think this is actually the first time I've reviewed a new product with my testing rig. I have gone over plenty of... No, well, technically some of the Fanimation stuff, but still, you know, not fresh out of the box. I've done plenty of reviews in the past. We're at 0.1, but this is the first time with the testing rig. So that's really cool. 0.11, 12. I'm surprised at how... Oh, wait, there we go. So far, silent. I mean, I wouldn't expect any noise at this low of a speed, even if it was going to be noisy, but there have been some fans that have surprised me and been noisy at this low of a speed. Eighth of a turn, 0.25. It's a little buzzy. I can hear a little bit of buzz, but it's not bad. It's passing the fluorescent light test. Eighth of a turn, 0.36. Oh yeah, it's not bad at all. It's a hair buzzy. I wouldn't use it in a bedroom with a solid state control, but I would use it in a commercial setting with a solid state control. And then high. So for those who don't know, who are just coming to these videos, first of all, this is my testing rig here. A vintage decade capacitor with a 10 microfarad and 20 microfarad addition, bypass, amp meter bypass, and then switching between the decade and the solid state control, which is here. So it's pretty straightforward. My fluorescent light test is just kind of another example of my low-tech test here. That fluorescent light that's back there that is kind of acting as cove lighting, reflecting off the rafters and giving kind of an indirect light on the fan in the video, has a ballast that's going bad, and so it's rather buzzy. And any fan that is quieter than the buzzing ballast with the solid state control is deemed fit for use with solid state control, and any fan that is louder or equivalent to the defective ballast is deemed unfit for use with solid stateness. So hence that. I like this. I really do. First of all, since I'm still gonna talk for a little bit, let's go back to the caps. 2's still not gonna do anything? I'm really mad that 2's not doing anything. There's 3. Yeah, I think if I could hang it right now with 4 blades, I'd like it a lot more, and I'd want to find a place to put it up somewhere. I don't think it earns the honor of going in my living room, but it would go somewhere, you know. 5 blades, I'm just not a fan of 5 blades on most fans, including originals, and if it's going to be an original copy, now a 6-blade original copy, that I could get with. I don't know if that works with today's market, though. 6 blades is not, I would assume it's not marketable today based on the fact that nobody is selling them. Maybe if somebody came out with a 6-blade fan. But yeah, I would love to see this with a 4 or 5 blade option. And again, since it has an isolation ring, that seems very simple to do. You could either simply drill it with 2 sets of holes. You could have the ring be removable. I would fit right over the switch housing and have 2 rings. There'd be a million ways to do that. And that would put me over the edge in terms of liking and recommending this fan. I'd also be interested in seeing if it performed differently with 4 blades versus 5. Kind of assuming that it either wouldn't or in fact would perform better with 5, but that's an assumption, and you know what they say about assumptions. They make an ass out of you and umptions, so you shouldn't do them. Yeah, that's what I got for it. I got it really hoping to like it, thinking, you know, assuming that it essentially would be a better quality fan than a lot of the things offered by today's brands, but not as good as an actual original. And I think it's exactly what I expected it to be. If anything, when I first opened the box, I thought the quality was going to be a little bit less than what I was assuming, and then once I hung it up and tested it, the quality is actually better than what I thought when I opened the box. Is the quality better than I was assuming before I opened the box? If you can follow that twisted train of logic, the answer is I don't know. That's the problem with changing your expectations. The other thing, of course, is that is longevity. That's something we have no means to test here. One thing I'd like to do, if I had the option, well, I do have the option, but not really, is I'd like to take like a bat to it or something and see how you know, especially how easy are the blade arms to break. That's the number one thing with fans to me. How easy are the blade arms to break? Because bent or broken blade arms is probably the number one problem that plagues ceiling fans, especially in commercial installations. worn bearings is number 2, failed capacitors number 3, and there's nothing really you can do about failed capacitors. They're going to fail at some point or another. Same with bearings, although the more heat dissipation you have, the better, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, I would love to just, like, whack it, grab a hold of the blade arms, and bend them and see what they do. But I like the fan, so if I do that, I will no longer have one in good shape. And I don't want to no longer have one in good shape, so I'm not going to do that. But yeah, that would be, if I really wanted to put it through the paces, that would be my next step. And it'd be to, see how easily the blade arms bend. That's the good thing about the Hunter blade arms, is that while they bend, I don't think they're any harder to bend than other ones. They don't tend to break. You very rarely see an actual Hunter original with broken blade arms. You might see plenty with bent blade arms, but you can bend them back, and that's a strong advantage. Yeah, that's really all I got. Now I'm looking at the video, it's gone on 30 minutes. I've really spent a lot of time with this fan. But that's a good thing. Again, I haven't done a new out-of-the-box fan review in a long time. I'm lucky that I get to do this one. I've got one other Kichler fan to do, and then I've got a few fans from another brand that'll be on their way sometime in the coming few months. So I'm glad to be able to do that again. And I'm just giving you some more looks at it since I have the opportunity to here. Yeah, so if I turn it to 2, is it going to stall? Because I really feel like that 3 is too fast for what we're doing here. For it not to start on it. But, okay, you know what I forgot? Brand new fan out of the box. Bearings are stiff. I bet you anything that it would perform differently after it ran on high for, let's say, the standard 24-hour break-in period. Again, I don't have the means to do that. I have to take it down and test other fans. I don't have anywhere I can leave a fan running on high for 24 hours. Because, again, all of my workshop spaces are shared with other people that do other things, and a fan running on high would be in their way, whether it was here, downstairs, in my other shop, etc. Okay, so that's the 2. If I stop it, it will stop. If I give it a jolt, will it then keep going? My camera sometimes stops right around 35 minutes. So if the filming stops, then we've just run into the maximum amount of time. Okay. So the fact that it will continue going at 2 without stalling out tells me that if the bearings were not new, it would probably start at 2 and give me the aesthetic low speed that I'm looking for. This is a thing among fan collectors and also among certain people I know that use fans in restaurants for aesthetic purposes. You want the slowest possible speed just for the visual effect. It serves very little effective purpose, but it is a visual thing. And very, very slight circulation, but mostly just for the visual. And fan collectors, I'm not the only one. There are many fan collectors that seek out the slowest possible low speed. And then there have been a number of restaurants that I've installed fans in, or maintained fans for, or done other fan-related things for, that have also looked for something similar. I've talked about how I've known fans to be installed in restaurants where the fans have lights on them, and the fans and lights together are just on a dimmer. And that's how they do it, which is not the safest way to do it. You'll burn your fan or your dimmer, conceivably. But they've worked well for years doing it. Okay, off. Capacitor off. Okay. Well, thanks for watching this. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be packing it back in the box for now. But if there's any requests, I'll do another video. Thanks for watching.